Oh, yes, this county commission meeting is open pursuant to adjournment. The Honorable Mike Pagriva is present and presiding. All having business before this commission, come forward and you shall be heard. God bless this great state, county, and nation. Please remain standing for prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Mr. John Hurt's going to lead us in prayer this evening.
So we bow. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all the many blessings. We pray, Father, that you'll be with us today as we make decisions on the behalf of the people that live in this county. Pray, Father, that you'll give us wisdom and insight to always look to their needs and do things with a servant heart. Pray, Father, that you will be with our great nation, our great county and state. Pray, Father, that you will continue to bless us and help us, Father, always know that all great things come from you, and we have everything we have because of you. We thank you for these things. Thank you most especially for your love. Thank you for giving us your Son. And be with us to remember this meeting and continue to watch over our country and be with our leaders, and pray, Father, they all look to you for guidance and wisdom, and from the tops of our government to the lowest courts. And we thank you for your Son. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If y'all would, I'll lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Miss Wilson, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Coleman?
Here, ma'am.
Mr. Curtis?
Here, ma'am.
Mr. Daniel? Mr. Jerry Hooper?
Here, ma'am.
Mr. Ricky Hooper?
Here, ma'am.
Mr. Hunt?
Here.
Mr. Hurt?
Here.
Ms. McClanahan?
Here, ma'am.
Mr. Malone?
Here, ma'am.
Mr. Mayberry?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Phillips? Here. Mr. Rochelle?
Here.
Mr. Tidwell? Mr. Wagner?
Here.
And we have 12 of 14 members present.
Okay, so we are too short, but we do have a quorum. Have you all had an opportunity to review the previous minutes? And if so, do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Malone, second. Second, Mr. Jerry Hooper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. At this time, I'll open the floor if we have any citizens that have petition or grievances that would like to come forward and speak. All right, one of the things I want to point out, the live stream, and we get a lot of folks at home that are tuning in and watching these meetings, and I just want to say that you can't judge on what's happening tonight with the entirety of what goes on here, because the work meeting took place a week ago, last Monday at the admin meeting. So all of the items that we're about to vote on and what we do, believe me that there has been deliberation and conversation on all of these items, and I just wouldn't want you to think that this is all that there is to what happens up here in these meetings. I want to take just a minute and reflect on how important of a job that you all in this legislative body have. This legislative body is tasked with making decisions that will play a role in what we are as a county and what we are to become. This is very likely the most important legislative body this county has ever had, and certainly is, at least in our lifetime. And this might not have been the case, but then we had this 2021 flood. And on top of everything that we're challenged with in normal times, we will need to deal with what it means to build back and to recover from that flood. You all are going to have to make decisions that will shape our county for generations to come. We must be mindful of every decision made and what the long-term effects of it will be. what the future of Humphreys County looks like and where we want it to go from here. Some of the construction projects, either in progress or coming very soon, are the flood repairs and the temporary school that rings up to the tune of $21.5 million. Roads, bridges, cleanup, and small projects that are now up over $9 million. The McEwen High School at about $32 million. The jail project, $21 million. We don't know for sure at this time. The new middle school and junior high at $65 to $70 million. Again, we don't know. But folks, in round numbers, that's over $150 million worth of work that's going to need to take place in this county. This is no doubt a burden to be tasked with watching over, but it is also an incredible opportunity that we have in this county. We must do our research. We must do diligence and look at all possibilities in everything that we do. Our decisions need to be based upon what is best for the county overall. Not an entity, but what is most beneficial or for the greater good of the taxpayers of the county. I will say I'm very proud of this legislative body. I know that you all have the best interest of our citizens at heart. And I know that we're humbled and we'll seek guidance in everything that we do. Let us remember to work together, that even though we may have different ideas, we are in the end all striving for the same thing. I've gotten to know each and every one of you, and I have full confidence that the results of your decisions will be what's best for Humphreys County. And with that, we'll get down to business. The first resolution, this resolution authorizes account transfers and appropriation for the general purpose school fund. The amendment transfers $71,000 of funds in the budget to cover expense needs and a one-time bonus for certified and support staff as approved by the school board on February 9. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, that's brought before the administrative committee. Mr. Wright was pleased to explain to us and voted on unanimously to send on to this meeting.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Wilson, roll call, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jerry Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ricky Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hurt,
Yes.
Ms. McClanahan,
Yes.
Mr. Malone,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Phillips, yes. Mr. Rochelle,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
have all ayes.
All ayes, and the resolution is passed. The next resolution is for the authorization and providing for the incurrence of indebtedness in the amount of $9,076,000 for the purpose of providing a portion of the cost of acquiring, constructing, enlarging, improving, and/or extending the new McEwen High School in addition to McEwen Junior High. This amount is in addition to the previously approved loan in the amount of $23,813,515 for the construction of the new McEwen High School for a total of $32,889,515. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, this brought before the administrative committee to explain the new interest rate and basically laid out the formalities of the loan, and it was voted on to pass on to full commission unanimously.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Wilson, roll call, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jerry Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ricky Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hurt,
Yes.
Ms. McClanahan,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Malone,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
all ayes.
All right, with unanimous, the resolution is passed. Next resolution is to amend the budget and appropriate $85 for the Sheriff's Department to pay a towing bill. Mr. Hooper.
This brought before the administrative committee. The $85 was for towing and voted on to pass on to full commission.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Wilson, roll call, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jerry Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ricky Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hurt,
Yes.
Ms. McClanahan,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Malone,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
all ayes.
All right, unanimous ayes have it. The resolution is passed. The next resolution is to declare certain county sheriff department items as surplus and authorize disposal as such of the 5 vehicles itemized below. You will notice that there is a vehicle that was added to the list from last week. It was the one that they neglected to turn in. It is a Ford F-150. It matches the last Ford F-150 that was on the list. So there's actually 2 Ford F-150 4x4 pickups, same year, 2013s. This resolution is to declare certain county sheriff department items surplus and authorize disposal. It's a 1 Duramax 2008 diesel, 1 2009 Suburban LS, 1 2009 Tahoe LS, and 2 Ford F-150 XLT 4x4 trucks. Mr. Hooper?
Yes, this brought before the administrative committee, went over and voted on to pass full commission.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it and the resolution is passed. Next resolution is to approve the county to enter into contract with the state of Tennessee for the acceptance of a highway safety grant in the amount of $16,000 for financial support and funding of proposed participation in law enforcement activities to reduce speeding, aggressive driving, and driving under the influence, and non-seatbelt usage for children and passengers, and a variety of other safety issues. This resolution also permits the appropriation of same funds and a required budget amendment. There is a 0 county match. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, this also brought before the administrative committee, explained, and voted on to pass the full commission.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, the ayes have it, and the resolution is passed. Next resolution is to allow for the procurement of a new dishwasher for the Sheriff's Department. The Hobart dishwasher purchase would be in the amount of $9,661.62 from the Humphreys County General Fund. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, this brought before the commission, administrative committee, and after some discussion, settled on the Hobart for $96.61.62, and it voted unanimously to go on to full commission.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Wilson, roll call, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jerry Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ricky Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Hurt,
Yes.
Ms. McClanahan?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Malone?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayberry?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
All ayes.
All ayes, the resolution is passed. Next resolution is to increase the threshold amount from $10,000 to $25,000 for which public advertisement and sealed competitive bids or proposals are required. This is for non-emergency, non-proprietary purchases for the county executive office. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, this brought before the administrative committee, explained. Some questions were asked and answered and voted to pass on to full commission.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous, the ayes have it, the resolution is passed. Next resolution is to allow the highway department, as part of their competitively bid process, to allow them to purchase crushed stone from the vendor offering the best materials and pricing to meet the requirements of the highway department. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, this brought before the administrative committee, explained that the prior bid, they thought material was in one place, it was actually in another, and it was costing a lot more to get it to our area to use. So this was voted on to pass to the full commission to allow him to change vendors.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous, the ayes have it, and the resolution is passed. Next resolution is for the transfer of $30,000 from an unassigned account, $39,000, to account 58110, entitled Tourism, at line item 599. The funds are part of a $95,000 grant awarded to the county to be spread out over a 5-year period. The Tourism Director plans to use the funds to research and implement ideas related to augmented reality, the use of murals, as well as beginning the development of a virtual welcome center. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, this brought before the administrative meeting, determined no match was required. It's from the American Rescue Plan and voted on to pass the full commission.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Wilson, roll call, please.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jerry Hooper?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ricky Hooper?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hurt?
Yes.
Ms. McClanahan?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Malone?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayberry?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
All ayes.
All ayes, the resolution is passed. Next resolution is for the acceptance and to enter into contract with the State Department of Health for a grant in the amount of $337,500 with a county participation of 25% or $112,500 for a total of $450,000. With this resolution, the county is authorized to execute and deliver the proposed grant contract with the state of Tennessee. All purchase orders, contracts, and work orders must be approved by the county executive's office prior to execution. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, this brought before the administrative committee. Terms were explained and passed on to the full commission.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Wilson, roll call, please.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jerry Hooper?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ricky Hooper?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hurt?
Yes.
Ms. McClanahan?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Malone?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Phillips. Yes. Mr. Rochelle,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
have all ayes.
With all ayes, the resolution is passed. Next resolution authorizes the County Highway Department to purchase a new skid steer compact track loader under State Contract 2525 for the price of $70,348. The purchase will be made within the available amount appropriated by the county for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, it's also brought before the administrative committee. Mr. Woods intends to use the track loader for cleaning out from under bridges and other work where smaller loaders needed, and it was voted to pass on to the full commission.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Wilson, roll call, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jerry Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ricky Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hurt,
Yes.
Ms. McClanahan,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Malone,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayberry,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips. Yes. Mr. Rochelle,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
have all ayes.
All ayes, and the resolution is passed. Next resolution authorizes the purchase and procurement of a plat scanner to be utilized by the county, most specifically the Register of Deeds office. Plat scanner will be purchased from the Humphreys County General Fund in the amount of $16,236 with a purchase order and contract executed by the Register of Deeds office. Mr. Hooper.
Yes, Ms. Davis came before the committee, explained her needs and how it could save money in the long run. And her questions were asked and answered and passed on to the full commission.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Wilson, roll call, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Curtis,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jerry Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ricky Hooper,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hurt,
Yes.
Ms. McClanahan,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Malone,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Phillips. Yes. Mr. Rochelle,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
all ayes.
All ayes, and the resolution is passed. The next item is the election of notary public and approving surety bond given as a condition thereof or therefore. We have a nomination by the stated member of the Board of County Commissioners for the following individuals. Mr. Stephen Alden Pointer, Ms. Melanie Ratchford, Ms. Kelly Francis Berryman, Ms. Deborah G. Burkhalter, Ms. Abby Jo Hurt. Mr. Hooper?
Yes, these names were presented before the administrative committee and voted on to pass to this full board.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no more discussion, without objection, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our business for this evening. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Rochelle, second.
Second.
Mr. Malone, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.